allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Person?
Here.
Ms. Palmer?
Here.
Mr. Corman?
Here.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
Mr. Pavoni?
Here.
Mr. Prince?
Here.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor, all present.
Thank you, Jason. First item on the agenda is nominations for vacant city council position, number 6.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Person.
first thing before we get started on that, I'd like to just reiterate and say thank you to all the council people for the process that we've had. I know that every one of us wanted to have interviews, and we wanted to have what we thought was in a very good, open manner. And special thanks to Randy Corman for coming up with that, and I think we accomplished that. With that, I just want to clarify the process and see if I understand it right. But the first thing we'll do is have nominations, and each council member can nominate somebody. And we'll start with a roll call. And you don't have to nominate somebody if that person has already been nominated and it was going to be your nomination. And then after that, the process will be that, again, starting with the roll call, each person will be able to explain why they nominated that person, why they think they should be that. And then after we go around that, it'll be kind of a vote. You can say the name that you want until we get to 4 votes. So it could be 1 round, 2 rounds, 5 rounds, or 12 rounds. But is that a oversimplification?
I think that pretty much covers it. Larry, would you agree?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Corman.
Yeah, and can I ask a clarification? So I guess I should say, I know my colleagues on council know this, but we've not talked about this. People have asked me if I know who the council's choosing, and I absolutely don't, because I haven't talked to any other council members about who we're choosing, and really not even about this process. So one thing I guess I wanted to ask as a clarifying question, I would think maybe, just like you said, Mr. Person, if we put nominees out there, then we'd go around and we'd see if one of those nominees could get 4 votes. But I presume if we tried and ended up deadlocking on those nominees, we're not discounting the possibility of doing another round of, since we had 13 candidates, I would think at some point we could go, hey, we're not getting there, and we could go to more.
My understanding from Larry Warren, the city attorney, is if we say we're at a stalemate, then we could redo that process and start again.
Yeah, because we don't want to turn it over to King County, so.
That's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, so,
No.
okay, so in other words, if somebody who offered their services to the city didn't find themselves nominated in the first round, I mean, there's still a chance that depending on how it went, they might still get nominated, I guess we're saying.
Yeah,
From this slate?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, you don't know what can happen, but I just wanted to have that clear, so.
Mr. Mayor, if I think I heard this, I just want to make sure I'm understanding this right in reading the process. So as Council President Person pointed out, you would have a chance for everybody, according to roll call, to nominate, and then I think I heard him say then each person could, following the same rotation, discuss merits of their prospective candidates or all the candidates or whatever, and then there would be a roll call vote. And then if that vote did not nominate, if nobody received the majority vote, then the council could again discuss and then have another vote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Essentially.
I thought I heard a kind of a combination there.
I think, Jay, what it is when instead of the way the vote is taken, it's a voice vote, and you name the person who you're voting for.
So we're not, okay. So
and
in
then it
other
goes
words,
around. It'll go around until we get either 4 votes or we're decided we're stalemated.
Mm-hmm.
okay.
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 And if I may, on the process point, I think, and maybe either the mayor or the council president can manage this aspect, but I think we need to remain open to, well, maybe the way you said this takes care of it, but it could be that somebody doesn't get 4 votes in the beginning, but if their name were put back in after a period of time, they might get 4 votes. That is, because I presume there's some, the council would be to some extent sort of polling to try and figure out where everybody else on the council is, right? So,
Right.
you just understanding that, yeah.
I'm sure we're gonna stop the process somewhere and say, no, we shouldn't be doing it that way. So we'll work our way through it.
Yeah.
Well, the fortunate part about this is that we don't have to do this. We don't have this kind of tragic event that forces us to do this, and with that.
So we're not well-versed in it for sure.
No.
Yeah. it's,
Well, first, one of the things I just wanted to mention to people who may not be aware, the council conducted interviews on December 2nd during Committee of the Whole for several hours, had a chance to meet all of the candidates, and so tonight is a culmination of those interviews. And I just wanted to say that we were all very impressed with the quality of candidates that came out of the community. A lot of people that we've never heard from before that have really impressive backgrounds and have a very genuine interest in this community and also in serving in an elected position, which is, I think it really bodes well for the future of the city. So it was very good. It's unfortunate we have one position to fill tonight unless a couple of members want to resign. Otherwise, we're limited to one, but I'll tell you, we have a lot of quality candidates. So thank you for taking the time to put yourself through the process. So with that, I need a motion to open nominations.
I move we open the nominations.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Person, seconded by Mr. Prince, that we open the floor for nominations. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. So, Mr. President.
I nominate Ruth Perez.
Okay. Ms. Palmer.
I nominate Beth Asher.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Corman.
I nominate KB Van Horn.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Taylor.
I nominate Beth Asher.
Okay, Mr. Pavoni.
I nominate Carol Ann Witchy.
Okay, and last but not least, Mr. Prince.
I nominate Mike Snow.
Okay. So, we have 6 nominations on the floor. I would entertain a motion to close nominations.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Taylor, seconded by Mr. Prince, that we close nominations. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. So we'll go around now, again, in the same order, so you can discuss your nominees. Mr. Person.
Well, I nominated Ruth Perez for numerous reasons. Number one is that I think it's important that we maintain a gender balance on the council with
Thank you.
filling Terry's position. And I also feel that the council has made a commitment to look at our minority population, and our Latinos are one of our largest minority applications. That being said, that's not just the reason. If you look at Ruth's resume, which is very substantial, she has really educated herself well, I think, and worked hard. I was impressed with her answers and to the questions, and especially for somebody who was born in a different country to come here and catch on and understand the questions that she was asked.
Yes.
and gave, I thought, excellent answers that showed thought and also showed compassion and showed that she was willing to listen to people and make a decision based upon all the facts. So that's my recommendation in a synopsis.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Palmer?
I nominated Beth. I think that she fully understands the responsibilities and could hit the ground running. I, too, would appreciate the gender equality in respect to Terry. Beth has an impressive resume of getting involved with the community, even neighborhoods where she doesn't live. And I like that she said she wanted to take the public's pulse on issues that are controversial. She's run for office, and she's obviously a very hard worker and really smart, and she catches on to new ideas and concepts very quickly. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Corman?
Yeah, I too was interested in working on the gender balance issue. And I nominated KB Van Horn. I have to say, I'll just say right now that Ruth Perez was also very high on my list. Don had already nominated Ruth Perez. I was really impressed by KB's experience in the community, the idea of sort of the stone soup, working with the community to start something and then building from there. She's obviously figured out the formula for, in a time where resources are really limited, to be able to make our community a better place, and I thought she was really well qualified for the job, so I nominated her.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Corman. Mr. Taylor?
Yes, I nominated Beth for the same reasons that Marcy did, but I guess I can elucidate a little bit more about it. I think that Beth, not only is she smart, but she's very gifted in research and finding out things that she wants to know. She has bright ideas. She's very creative. One of the things that I learned about her is her ability to not only look for the post, but to get it. And she demonstrated that over several years ago when we had a very controversial issue in our city surrounding the library. And she was able to galvanize a community around that issue, and she demonstrated an ability to lead when she was handling a very controversial issue, and she did it successfully with a team of other people that she worked well with. I believe that she can hit the ground running. I think that one of the things that we need on this council are people who are creative, who can think independently, who can think critically, and she's demonstrated that to me as well. In terms of running again for an office, well, we've seen her run for office, so we know there's no doubt that when her time to come, if she is appointed to run, that she could do so and do so successfully. It is for those reasons that I nominated Beth. I will also say that it offered some challenge, because we do have some other very qualified candidates also. I also did consider Ruth Perez and also KB Van Horn. I like the grassroots vigor that goes out into a community and sees a need and tries to do something about it. And they both have demonstrated that. However, in the end, when I weighed it all out, I thought that Beth Asher was the best candidate for this opportunity right now. That's why I nominated her.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Pavoni?
Yes, I nominated Carol Ann Witchy for a couple of reasons. Her background is very, very impressive. I think the thing that was the most impressive for me was we listened to 15 people on that night, and she was number 2. And her discussions and listening to her answer her questions stuck with me throughout. It wasn't something that when I was done, I didn't forget the things that she had said. So
Okay.
that's me.
Thank you. And Mr. Prince?
Yes, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I first also want to thank all the candidates for applying, and am too concerned about gender equity on the council, but in good conscience, I could not nominate this outstanding candidate. I was really impressed with Mike. He had the unenviable task of going last when we were all tired, and said some things that really resonated. I really like his community activism, and I think that if we picked him, he'd be a good asset to the council. However, I also want to say I was really impressed with KB Van Horn, Carol Witchy, and Ruth Perez.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments before we go to voting? Okay, here we go. So we'll start with Mr. Person, and you just, as we go around the room, give the name of who you're voting for.
Ruth Perez.
Okay. Ms. Palmer.
Beth Asher.
Mr. Corman.
Ruth Perez.
Okay, Mr. Taylor.
Beth Asher.
Mr. Pavoni.
Carol Ann Witchy.
Okay, and Mr. Prince.
Carol Ann Witchy.
Okay, so we're going to go around again because we haven't reached the magic number of 4. So, Mr. Person.
Ruth Perez.
Okay. Ms. Palmer.
Beth Asher.
Okay. Mr. Corman.
KB Van Horn.
Okay, Mr. Taylor.
Beth Asher.
Mr. Pavoni.
Ruth Perez.
Okay, and Mr. Prince.
Carol Ann Witchy.
Okay, we're moving around a little bit. Going for vote number 3, Mr. Person.
Ruth Perez.
Boy.
Ms. Palmer.
Ruth Perez.
Okay, Mr. Corman.
Ruth Perez.
Okay, Mr. Taylor.
Beth Asher.
Okay, Mr. Pavoni.
Ruth Perez.
And Mr. Prince.
Ruth Perez.
Okay. So, that takes care of our majority, and I'm honored and pleased to be able to declare that Ruth Perez will be a new member of the City Council. Ruth will be sworn in at our next regular council meeting, which will
I think she is.
be on January 5th of 2015. Is Ruth here in the audience?
Her husband.
Able to make it this evening, she had a previous commitment.
Okay, thank you very much. So, that concludes the process. The council, thank you very much. I know you guys worked really hard on this, and it's a difficult decision, and, but we're through it, so.
And Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Mr.
Yeah, I
Chairman.
want to add my 2 cents to how qualified this group of candidates was. I was really impressed. It was not an easy decision. I didn't vote against anybody. I voted for somebody that I really think is qualified, but there were a lot of qualified people. So thank you all very much for your participation and commitment to the city.
Okay, was there any other comments before we move on?
I would just like to encourage any of the candidates to strongly consider a run during the next election cycle, because I would have liked to. Terry has big shoes to fill, and I think it could have taken 2 or 3 of these qualified people. So
I
thank
agree.
you.
I agree.
Thank you, Ms. Palmer.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Mr. Taylor.
Yeah, I'd like to thank all of the candidates also, and what encouraged them to continue to participate and keep that interest in joining this body brewing and burning, and to continue to do the kinds of things that they're doing in the community that are helping them to learn more about how things work.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Anybody else? Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to item number 4 on the agenda is a public hearing. Raquel.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. For the record, my name is Raquel Timmons, and I'm here to present staff's recommendation on the Sunset amended Sunset Planned Action Ordinance. And I have just a very brief presentation for you today. I'll give an outline of the site characteristics and a brief overview of the Sunset area history, a summary of the revised proposal that's before you today, and staff's recommendation and next steps. The Sunset area is approximately 269 acres located near our city center. It contains, or was built out with 3,000 duplex units on 240 of those acres. The area is located next to and has good access to highways and transit, as well as close to major employment, shopping, and entertainment opportunities. The vision for this area is to have Sunset be a destination place where neighbors and businesses are engaged. The area is walkable and interconnected. It feels safe and secure. And as development occurs, there's a preservation of the quality of life. We'd also like to make sure that the area is a more attractive place to live and do business and is affordable to all incomes, as well as celebrates ethnic diversity. In terms of an overview of the planning efforts that have occurred in the Sunset area, we initiated planning efforts in 1999 and had some success up until 2006, but it wasn't until 2007 and 2008 that we formalized those efforts into two task forces, Task Force 1 and 2, the Highlands Task Force 1 and 2. And in 2009, those task forces culminated in a Sunset Area Community Investment Strategy. Birthed out of that strategy was the completion of an environmental impact statement in 2010, as well as a planned action ordinance, also occurring in 2010. Since 2010, there have been several projects that have been completed in the area, including the construction of townhome projects, as well as the beginning of construction on the new Highlands Library and a new Sunset master site plan effort for a park. In 2010, when we did our environmental review work, there were 3 alternatives looked at as part of our environmental impact statement. The first being a no action alternative, the second being a moderate level of growth, the third being the highest level of growth. And out of the final impact statement, environmental impact statement, there was a preferred alternative, which was neighborhood growth similar to or slightly less than alternative 3. We are now providing, staff is now providing a reevaluation alternative, and this basically simulates growth the same as alternative 3 with slightly more units, approximately 90 units, redirected into a sub-area of the larger Sunset area. This would also include a larger park and dwellings more focused along SR 900, also known as Sunset Boulevard. So specifically, what's changed? Approximately 90 units, as mentioned before, would be redirected into the Sunset Terrace sub-area. Building heights would be increased by no more than 10 feet. There have been reductions in setbacks along Sunset Boulevard. As mentioned, the park would expand to 3.2 acres instead of the largest 2.5 acre park that was considered. And finally, there would be a reclassification of local streets serving the Sunset area. The conclusions drawn from our reevaluation is that there were no substantive changes or findings in the original record of decision that would occur as a result of this reevaluation. Those mitigation measures that were incorporated into the final EIS of 2010, combined with additional consultation and mitigation, represent reasonable steps that would reduce any environmental effects caused by proposed development. The only thing that staff is planning on adding to the record of decision is that all future multifamily buildings along Sunset shall comply with some specific design criteria related to building proportions and roof profiles. In summary, staff is recommending the council adopt an amended Sunset Area Planned Action to reflect those changes. This item has been referred to the Committee of the Whole for review, and tonight we're asking that you hear public testimony, approve a committee report that's been generated for you, as well as present the ordinance for first and second reading. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Raquel. Any questions from council? I know you just had this presentation just a few minutes ago, so I'm surprised. This is a public hearing. I don't have anybody signed up to address the council on this topic. Is there anybody who wanted to testify? What's the wish of the council?
Move the hearing be closed.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Person, seconded by Mr. Prince, that this public hearing be closed. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thanks again, Raquel. We
Thank
do
you.
have a committee report and the ordinance for later on.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council.
Okay, moving on to administrative report, Mr. Covington. I saw him there a minute ago.
He's breaking things.
I don't know if he's hiding or...
Taking care of some maintenance down there, Mr. Mayor. Sorry.
On a budget these days.
do have a number of items. As the council knows, we had a busy weekend last week. December's always a busy month, lots of public activities. I'm sure I'll leave it to some of you to report on what the tree lighting and clam lights last week. This week, however, we have an opportunity for the public to get involved. It's the spirit of giving, and we need you to give blood. The Puget Sound Blood Center will have a blood drive here at City Hall Wednesday from 8:30 to 2:30. Low blood collections over the Thanksgiving holiday has reduced the community blood supply. Currently, 6 out of 8 blood types are below the levels needed to provide an adequate supply to 90 area hospitals. So they're asking for anyone who can give blood to come swing on by. It's a walk-in blood drive, no appointments necessary. You will need to present photo identification at the registration desk, and they just thank in advance anybody who can take time to do that. Also on Wednesday, there will be a senior volunteer appreciation dinner to recognize volunteers who give their time so generously to the Renton Senior Activity Center. That dinner will take place from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Renton Senior Activity Center. People are invited on Thursday to attend the annual Specialized Recreation Drama Club performance of Frosty the Snowman at 7:30 p.m. at Carco Theater. That's at 1717 Maple Valley Highway, and the admission is free. And then this Sunday, the December 14th, people can come and enjoy the Renton Youth Symphony Orchestra, their winter concerts at 3 p.m. at Carco Theater. Tickets are available at the door, $10 for adults, $7 for seniors, and $5 for students. The Renton City Concert Band will perform their holiday concert also Sunday the 14th at 2 p.m. at the Renton IKEA Performing Arts Center, so you can just go from one to the other. Tickets are available, again, $10 for adults, $7 for seniors and students. And again, while we lit the clam lights last Friday, they're available nightly now from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. through January 1st. And then those of you that have wondering what you want to do on January 1st, we're inviting you. Councilwoman Palmer will be right there with you to enjoy the polar bear dip at Jean Coulon Park. 11 a.m. No registration is required, and a lifeguard will be on duty, and I would bring a towel if I were you. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
I would suggest you bring a couple, quite frankly.
Blanket.
Thank you, Mr. Covington. I want to just take a quick moment to thank Sonia Maylander from our community services, who does a lot of work trying to coordinate the Clam Lights event. Also want to thank our community service employees and Public Works, because they work really hard both in the Piazza Park and at Coulon Park to make it a real nice event for all of our residents, and it clearly was very, very nice. So,
Beautiful.
thanks to those guys. All right, audience comment. I don't have anybody signed up. Was there anybody who wanted to address the council? Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. We have 5 items on the consent agenda. Council, I'm pulling item F from the agenda. We are not prepared to recommend to you that we change insurance companies at this point in time, so that item is coming off. Are there any other item that a council member would like pulled for discussion?
Seeing none, Mr. Mayor, I move the consent agenda to be adopted.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Person, seconded by Mr. Corman, that council approve the consent agenda minus item F.
Right.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Unfinished business, Mr. Person.
Yes, I have a committee of the whole committee report.
Hey, Committee of the Whole Committee Report, Sunset Area Planned Action Amendment. The Committee of the Whole concurs with the staff recommendation to adopt the amended Sunset Area Planned Action and recommends authorization of first and second reading and adoption of the amended Sunset Area Planned Action Ordinance tonight, December 8, 2014. This is signed by the council president.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Person.
I I move the council concur with the recommendation of the committee of the whole.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Person, seconded by Mr. Prince, that council concur with the committee of the whole report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Mr. Mayor, I just have one other thing on old business.
Okay?
And I think the council will remember here a week or so ago that Detective Onishi and Priti Sindar showed the little video about stolen cars.
Yep.
So I had a little email from him. I sent him an email saying, gee, you did a great job. I really appreciated his presentation. He sent me back an email and said he'd appreciate it if I'd announced to the public to be far more careful with their cars, that because he had to investigate 8 stolen cars that were stolen between November 28th and December 1st, and 4 of them were left running. So
Wow.
they didn't have to hotwire it or anything. And he's asking the public, he wanted me to put it out there, lock your cars, turn them off, take the keys inside, and it'd make his job a lot easier.
Well, they clearly have been warned, right?
Yes, they have.
I know the rental reporter, I think, has covered it also, so.
Good.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Person. Ms. Palmer?
Yes, I have one transportation committee meeting, or
Report.
Transportation Aviation Committee report. Landing Gear Works LLC Amendment 114 to Lease 13005. The Transportation Aviation Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to approve an amendment to the lease with Landing Gear Works LLC, increasing annual revenue to $19,095 per year for an increase of leased area by 1,878 square feet, which is the old control tower, and to extend the term of the lease for an additional 18 months from February 28, 2015 to August 31st, 2016. The committee further recommends that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign Amendment 1 to the lease. This is signed by the vice chair and members.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Ms. Palmer?
I move that council concur with the committee report.
Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Palmer, seconded by Mr. Pavoni, that council concur with the Transportation Aviation Committee report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
And that's it.
Thank you. Mr. Corman?
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Mr. Taylor?
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Pavoni?
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, and Mr. Prince?
Actually, before you go to me, Councilwoman Palmer has the Finance Committee report.
I forget that's me now. I do have a finance committee report.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Finance Committee report. Approval of claims and payroll vouchers. The Finance Committee approves for payment on December 4th, 2014, claim vouchers 334-288 through 334-563, 3 wire transfers, and 1 payroll run with benefit withholding payments totaling $5,040,613.71, and payroll vouchers including 730 direct deposits and 56 payroll checks totaling $1,605,533.03. This is signed by the vice chair and member.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Ms. Palmer?
I move that council concur with the committee report.
Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Palmer, seconded by Mr. Prince, that council concur with the Finance Committee report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Okay, so
All right,
now,
Mr. Prince.
we have one committee report because the comprehensive plan one, the Ridic Planning Commission didn't meet the night before, so all we have is the docket committee report.
Okay. Planning and Development Committee reports. City Code Title IV Development Regulations, 2014, docket group number 10B. The Planning and Development Committee concurs with the Staff and Planning Commission recommendations to adopt the following items on the 2014 Title IV docket. D101, applicability for modifications in design districts, amending codes so that the exterior modifications must comply with the relevant design district requirements. D104, lot area, building coverage, impervious surface area, increasing the minimum lot size in the R4 zone, implementing 1 lot size in the R8, and establishing minimum lot sizes in the R10 and R14 zones. Other standards are also amended, such as minimum lot width and setbacks in all residential zones. Maximum building coverage is amended for consistency, and maximum impervious surface area is decreased in all residential zones. Finally, the standards for a new R6 zone are established. D105, utilities, open space, and critical areas and tracts. The proposed text amendments would require utilities such as stormwater structures, open space, and critical areas such as wetlands and their buffers and protected slopes to be located in tracts, which would be designated as tracts on final plats upon recording. Incorporation of homeowners associations would be required for all subdivisions having such dedicated tracts, regardless of the size of the subdivision and/or number of lots. D106, telecommunications, introducing new and revised standards for wireless communication facilities, e.g. materials, visual mitigation, location, height limitations, etc. Exceptions for certain co-locations, modifications to existing wireless communication towers are proposed. D108, retaining walls. Introduce standards for retaining walls such as allowed materials, height limitations, setbacks, terracing design, grading above retained walls, landscaping and fences upon or adjacent to retaining walls. D109, tree removal. Proposed revised quantities and frequencies of tree removal from property, priorities for retention of certain trees, increasing the percentage of trees to retain on-site for residential zoning districts with a density greater than R8 and for all other zones, and establishing a provision to pay a fee in lieu of replacing trees when it is determined by the administrator that site constraints preclude the planting of replacement trees. Fees would go to the city's urban forestry program. And D112, administrative code interpretations. 16 interpretations, which have already been in effect, are proposed to have their related code language updated. The committee recommends that the ordinances regarding D101, 104, 105, 106, 108, 109, and 112 be presented for first reading on January 5th, 2015. This is signed by the committee chair and member.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Prince.
I move that the committee report be adopted as read.
Second?
It's been moved by Mr. Prince, second by Ms. Palmer, that council adopt the Planning and Development Committee report. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. Moving on to resolutions and ordinances, we have one resolution. We have one ordinance for first reading to be advanced to second and final, and we have two for second and final reading.
Okay, the resolution is regarding the moratorium on medical marijuana industry. A resolution of the City of Renton, Washington declaring a moratorium on accepting applications for business licenses or permits for medical marijuana businesses and establishments involved in the sale, manufacture, distribution, or use of medical marijuana, and establishing a termination date for the moratorium.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Prince.
move the resolution be adopted as read.
Second?
Been moved by Mr. Prince, second by Ms. Palmer, that this resolution be adopted as read. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
The ordinance for first reading and advancement for second and final is regarding the Sunset Area Planned Action. An ordinance of the City of Renton, Washington establishing a planned action for the Sunset Area pursuant to the State Environmental Policy Act.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr.
I
Person.
move the ordinance be advanced to second and final reading this evening.
Second.
Been moved by Mr. Person, seconded by Mr. Prince, that this ordinance be advanced to second and final reading this evening. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Okay, for second and final reading, an ordinance of the City of Renton, Washington establishing a planned action for the Sunset Area pursuant to the State Environmental Policy Act.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Person.
I move the ordinance be adopted as read.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Person, seconded by Mr. Prince, that this ordinance be adopted as read. Requires a roll call.
Mr. Person,
Aye.
Ms. Palmer,
Aye.
Mr. Corman,
Aye.
Mr. Taylor,
Aye.
Mr. Pavoni,
Aye.
Mr. Prince.
Aye.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor, all ayes.
The ayes have it.
Okay, the first ordinance for second and final reading is regarding the imposition of jail time. An ordinance of the City of Renton, Washington, amending subsection 131B of Chapter 3, Remedies and Penalties of Title I, Administrative of the City Code, allowing for the city's use of the South Correctional Entity, the SCORE Jail, Regional Jail, or another appropriate facility for the imposition of jail time.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr.
I
Person.
move the ordinance be adopted as read.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Person, seconded by Mr. Taylor, that this ordinance be adopted as read. Requires a roll call.
Mr. Person,
Aye.
Ms. Palmer,
Aye.
Mr. Corman,
Aye.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Mr. Pavoni?
Aye.
Mr. Prince?
Aye.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor, all ayes.
The ayes have it.
And the last ordinance for second and final reading is regarding the stay out of areas of racing order. An ordinance of the City of Renton, Washington, amending subsection 628-6C of Chapter 28, Race Attendance of Title VI, Police Regulations of City Code, updating the penalties for violating a stay out of areas of racing SOAR order to be consistent with Rent Municipal Code 131.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Person.
move the ordinance be adopted as read.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Person, second by Mr. Taylor, that this ordinance be adopted as read. Requires a roll call.
Mr. Person?
Aye.
Ms. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Corman?
Aye.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Mr. Pavoni?
Aye.
Mr. Prince?
Aye.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor, all ayes.
The ayes have it. Thank you very much, Jason. Moving on to new business, Mr. Person.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have a whole list of meetings that we are canceling, so next Monday, December 15th is a council holiday, there's no meetings. Monday, December 22nd is a council holiday, no meetings. Thursday, December 25th is a city holiday, so there'll be no meetings. Friday, December 26th is a city holiday, so there'll be no meetings. Monday, December 29th is a fifth Monday, so there's no meeting. January 1st is a city holiday, so there'll be no meeting. And believe it or not, Monday, January 5th, at 6 p.m., there will be a committee of the whole in the council chambers. Economic development update. It includes update on the Main Street program. And with that, I'd like to thank the council for my year as council president. This is the last meeting I'll chair, and I get to turn it over to Mr. Prince next year, so
Thank you, sir.
thank you all.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Yeah,
Person.
thank you very much, Don. Great job.
Ms. Palmer.
Yes, January 5th is a Monday, and at 5:30 we'll have a finance committee. One item on the agenda will be vouchers. And it just dawned on me, our new council member's last name starts with P, like all the rest of us except you.
And
Just-
Greg.
Oh, and well,
Oh,
Greg.
Greg.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. The two of
That's
us.
two.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
That is funny, isn't it?
And thank you, Don, for your leadership this year. You've done a great job. And that's it.
Thanks, Ms. Palmer. Mr. Corman.
Yeah, Don, I think going out with a bang by canceling all those meetings, that's really a round of
Hey, really,
applause.
I didn't-
Really effective, let me tell ya.
Yeah, so I, as sitting Public Safety Committee Chair, I guess I'm supposed to announce.
know, this is so
Yeah,
weird.
it's a little bit weird because it'll be a different chair next year, but, so January 5th, 2015, Monday, there will be a Public Safety Committee meeting at 5 p.m. And two items on that agenda, the city's public notification system, which is a briefing only, and then hazard mitigation plan briefing. And I think those will be in the council conference room. Oh, they are, yeah, they're in the council conference room. That's all. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Corman. Mr. Taylor.
No new business, but I would like to report out my trip to New York City this past week. I arrived on Thursday and got back over the weekend. We were the host of, well, first of all, Local Progress. You know, I've been a member of this group for the last 3 years, and Local Progress is a national municipal policy network of elected officials, progressive-minded elected officials from across the country. We started back in 2011 with 30 convening members. Nick Licata was one of them, and now we have over 400 elected officials around the nation. Local Progress helps local elected officials create real progressive change in their cities, and we're united by our shared commitment to share prosperity, equal justice under the law, livable cities, and good government that serves the public interest. Some of the things that we did, first and foremost, we had a wonderful welcome by Mayor Bill de Blasio for the city of New York. And it was just irony that we had our convening scheduled the day after the non-indictment of Eric Garner. So needless to say, moving about in New York was quite interesting. I personally ran into a number of flash protest groups and was able to videotape and even have some conversations with a few of them. I stayed in the Midtown area, got a chance to get on the subways, and I'll tell you, if you've never taken the subway in New York, let me just give you an example of what it looks like and feels like. Do you know what it feels like when you're leaving a football game and everybody's going to the exit at the same time? That's what it's like in this underground labyrinth. It's just unbelievable. And everybody walks fast, and so you got to move it. But anyway, the mayor did a very riveting, compelling keynote address to all of us, and we then went into different plenary discussions. One was on building progressive cities with a number of notable presenters. Next, we had a plenary that consisted of a topic called Fighting for Economic Justice and Worker Rights. Later that morning, we dealt with winning real police and criminal justice reform. One of the things that he mentioned, and he made some very interesting statements that I had an opportunity to write down. In fact, I even videotaped the entire presentation. But he talked about how real change comes from the grassroots by defining, or getting people who think about what they want and they demand it. And last year, the city of New York had about 700 of these illegal or so-called stop and frisk incidents that took place. And he said that because they changed policy, this year that number is going to be less than 50,000. So that's going to make a real impact. He says that what the officers will be able to do then, instead of stopping innocent people, because 90% of those 700,000 people were innocent, that they'll be able to focus on the real criminals. I thought that was pretty profound. So it was a very educational experience. I do plan on coming back to my colleagues here to talk to them about some of the things that I've learned. One of the other, a couple of the other plenaries that I attended was challenges and opportunities for smaller cities and large cities, and we also talked about conversations about victories and goals that we are having across the country. So I wanted to get back with you all, let you all know how that went. I'll be bringing more information to you, and certainly I'll be talking more about some of the policies that I've learned about. One of them, ironically, I mentioned today was the community benefit agreements, leveraging our influence with developers who want to do things in our city to encourage them to partner with our community members and create some other opportunities for benefit to those communities. And it's a great way to end the year. And I'll talk to you about it more later.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Pavoni.
I have no new business, but I would like to say that at the end of my first year that I appreciate Don's leadership and actually all of the council for being so helpful, and I guess it's my turn to help the new person.
That's
So,
right.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Pavoni. Mr. Prince.
No new business, but again, I think I'll echo the chorus of thanking Don for this year. Fantastic job, my friend.
Okay. Audience comment, last chance. Does our scout want to come up and address the council? At the very least. Are you going to get a badge for being here tonight? Good for you. So I'm going to make sure that our cameraman gets you on TV so that all your friends get to see you. There you go. Thank you for being here. It's great to have you. What's the wish?
Move we adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Person, second by Mr. Prince, so we adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.